Hello everybody, I'm the owner of an Etsy shop called It's Yarn Good, and today I will be teaching you how to make an octopus. For this project, you are going to need Bernat blanket yarn of any type or color, some safety eyes, stuffing, and an 8mm hook. So we are going to start our octopus at the top of its head by doing a magic circle of 8 as opposed to a magic circle of 6 as you would normally do for amigurumi. That'll make its head a bit flatter instead of having a pointy octopus head. So we are going to make our magic circle, wrap it around, cross it over, pull that through, and then pull it through again. And then we are going to put 8 single crochet into this magic circle. And a single crochet is I will briefly demonstrate how to do the single crochet. So you go under both these yarns, bring it through, and then grab your working yarn again and bring it through both the loops on your hook. So we do that a total of 8 times in this magic circle. So 1 we've done, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we tighten that without breaking this fragile yarn. Then we go into the next one, and this round is going to be a round of increases all around. So we're going to do that by skipping over this, as that's the loop made from our magic circle, go into the next one, that's the loop from our first single crochet, when we're going to be going over our tail that we have here to make it more secure. And we're going to do an increase. So we're going to do that by putting 1 single crochet in this stitch and 2. So an increase is 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and we're going to do that again in the next stitch, 1 and 2. So now we're going to do that all the way around back to the beginning for a total of 8 increases, which will give you 16 stitches. So I still have 1 increase left to go. I've done 7 so far, so I'm going to take the stitch marker out, and we're going to, before we go into this next stitch, we're going to take a loop that was left from our magic circle formation. We're going to take one of those and then go into the next stitch and do an increase. So 1 and 2. So I'm going to put my stitch marker in, and this next row is going to be a pattern of single crochet and then an increase. So 1 single crochet in this first stitch and an increase in the next stitch. So 1 and 2. Then we're going to repeat this pattern a total of 8 times around, so you'll have 24 stitches at the end. So I've done a pattern of single crochet increase repeated 8 times around, and I now have 24 stitches. So I can move my stitch marker, and for the next 3 rows we are going to be doing just single crochet around. So 3 more rows of only single crocheting to make the body. So I've now done 3 more rows of only single crocheting after our single crochet and then increase row. So I still have 24 stitches around, and this next row is going to be a pattern of single crochet and then a decrease. Okay, so I decrease by doing what I believe is called the invisible decrease, which I take the front loop from this stitch and the front loop from the next stitch and bring my working yarn through that and then through the loops on my hook. So then we're going to repeat that pattern 8 times, a total of 8 times around, so 7 more times besides this, and the next row we will start on the tentacles. So this row we are going to start on the tentacles. So we do that, but in the first stitch we are going to take the front loop only. So we're going to use 2 loops here. We're going to only take the front loop, and we are going to single crochet into it. Now this whole row is going to be only in the front loop, at least everything we do in this row. So we're going, now that we've done that first single crochet in the front loop, we are going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we are going to do 2 double crochet in the second stitch from our hook, or I guess perhaps this is the third. This is 1 chain, this is 1 chain, and then this is the third chain. So we are going to do a double crochet into that. We do a double crochet by wrapping this around our hook, going into our chain, bringing our yarn through, and then bring our yarn through 2 of the loops on our hook, 1 and 2, and then bring our yarn again through the rest of the loops on our hook. So we're going to do another double crochet in this stitch or chain. So that's our second double crochet. And then in the next stitch we are going to do a double crochet. So that's a double crochet, and then a half double in the same stitch. So we're going to wrap it around our hook, go through, pull that through, and then pull our yarn through all 3 loops on our hook. And then in the next stitch, it's going to be 2 half double crochet. So 1 and 2. Then for this final chain, which was coming out of our single crochet, we are going to do 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And then in the next stitch on our octopus's body, we are going to take the front loop only and do a slip stitch. So bring that through there and through there. So we have done a tentacle now, and you just repeat that pattern throughout the whole thing of where you make the tentacle and then do the slip stitch. You may need to rewind that, as that is a lot, but all you need to do is repeat that exactly the same 7 more times for a total of 8 times. So I've just done my last slip stitch, and now we can move on to the eyes. So we are going to put them in the 4th row. So our magic circle is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we are going to put them 3 stitches apart. So 1, 2, 3, and then put it in there. And I will clip these on, and then I will show you how to decrease and close this up. So what we are going to do is we can take our stitch marker out, shouldn't be needing that, and then we are going to do 8 decreases all around. And we're going to do that from here. We don't even need to take we don't even need to fasten off or anything like that, because we can just take 1 loop and the loop beneath it, as these loops kind of overlap when you do front loops only. So take our 2nd loop and then proceed to do a single crochet in those 2 loops from here, so we don't even have to fasten off or anything like that. Pull that through there, and then pull that through the 2 loops on our hook. And then we will continue to take 2 loops around this whole thing. So the next loop, take that, and the next loop to do a decrease, pull it through, and then pull that through both of those. And you should have to decrease 6 more times. If you somehow only end up with 1 loop at the end, just ignore, as long as you have 8 stitches around. So I've now done 8 decreases and I have 8 stitches around, and this is our opportunity to stuff our octopus. Make sure you put the eyes on before you stuff it. I've made that mistake many times and I've had to completely undo the, well, not completely, but undo the project to put the eyes on. Don't need to stuff these too much, as it's nice to have them squishy and it doesn't take much for them to hold their shape. So now we just need to do, for this row, 2 more decreases. So 1 decrease, so 1, oh, and before you do that, you really want to tighten this, because it could leave a pretty big hole here. So make sure this is tight and the stitch is tight, and it could, you might still have a hole, but it'll be fine, really. So 1 decrease and 2 decrease. Then what we can do is we can fasten off by going into the next stitch, bringing this through the loop on our hook, bringing this through that loop, and we don't even need scissors really. We can just break this yarn, making sure to leave a tail to kind of close this hole. Oh. And then normally you'd use a stitch. You thread this through a yarn needle and thread it through these stitches, but I'm just going to use my hook, and we're going to take our yarn behind every other stitch. So I'm putting my hook behind this stitch and bringing the yarn through. And then I skip a stitch, go behind the next stitch, bring that through there. And if you have a hole here, you can just bring your yarn through that hole too, or through a loop across that hole to help close that up. Then we continue with our hole in the middle, bring it behind the next stitch, or the other stitch, and I think behind 1 more stitch. Skip a stitch, and then behind the next stitch. Then we pull that tight, and we are now going to tie it off, which we do by bringing our yarn through a loop nearby, leave a loop here, pull this yarn through it, and now it is tied, so we can securely just enter our hook anywhere in it, bring this excess yarn through, and then we just cut it, and then we're done. So I hope you'll enjoy this simple crochet octopus tutorial, and you can find this and more things like it on my Etsy shop called It's Yarn Good. And remember, we can only create because God created first.